Today was not easy at all. I just set up the new desk you just seeing here. As you can see, the background has changed a bit. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that sweet. I hope you enjoyed the excuse me. I hope you enjoyed that sweet little B-roll I just dropped there. Actually, it's my first B-roll. I don't know if I tried. If I did it, just let me know down in the comment. But yeah, this is Cool Black Photography here, most commonly known as Cool Black. And today I'm going to show you guys how you can shoot and edit your photos using your mobile phone. With all this lockdown that has been going on and people staying at home, I just thought to myself, like, why not show you guys how you can take pictures and edit them while you're being at home. And I know some of you guys don't have access to computers or cameras, so don't worry, I got you. I'm going to show you how you can shoot and edit using your phone, and I will show you some apps that I personally use that you can use to edit your pictures using your mobile phone. So I think I'm going to first show you guys how I shoot. So let me first go outside and shoot something, and then I'll come back here and show you guys and we'll edit together. Let's go. Okay, let's find something to shoot here. Okay, I'll probably take this palm tree. If it is a palm tree, I don't know. So what I do, excuse me, the phone. Okay, so what I do basically is I open the camera and I take a picture of the tree like this. And what you have to do is, if you're using the normal picture mode, you have to expose for like the sky or the tree, whatever you want, but I'll choose to expose for the sky. I just tap to the sky and lower the brightness like this and take the picture. And for some phones, they have Pro Mode, and Pro Mode, what it does is it's like a professional camera. It takes raw pictures. Like you can see all the settings here, ISO, shutter speed, the focus, the white balance and shit. So what you have to do is you expose for the sky or the tree again. Let me just adjust the shutter speed so I can adjust for what I want. I think this one is fine, and I take my picture. So now that I've taken my picture, let's jump to the studio and start editing our pictures in the phone. Okay, so now that we have taken our photo and now that I've shown you how you guys can take your photos, let me just first show you guys some of the apps that I use in my mobile phone that you can also use. They're actually free. You can download them from App Store or Play Store, whichever operating system you're using. And for me, I'm using the Samsung Galaxy 8 plus. So let's jump in the phone and let me show you guys which apps I personally use. There is PixArt, there is Lightroom, there is Polar, there is another one called Snapseed. That one's really good. So let me jump in my Lightroom because that's what I most commonly use. And what you have to do when you install Lightroom, you just open it and you can choose to import your picture from here. But the way I like to come here to this plus icon and then click it and choose folder and create a new folder. Let me say phone shots. And when it says phone shots, I can create an album inside. Let me just name it 1. And inside this album, I'm going to import my photos that I have taken. I come here and I choose to device or all photos or files. You can click whatever you want because you'll find the recent pictures you took. I choose my photos. You can see the photos that we just took, the tree. And the way you can know your raw photos, if you can see the size, you will tell by looking at the size. You can see here this photo is 24 megabytes and the other one is 3.52 megabytes. So 24 is the raw one and the other ones are just JPEG. So let me import the raw file because it's the one that's best to work with. And after your shot or photo is done being imported, you open it and there are many settings you can play with. And what you can do, what I first do is I come here and crop. You can choose whatever format you want. There's a 1x1, 1x2, 2x3, 3x4 and 4x5, which I mostly use because it's the Instagram crop. And I composite. You can come here on light and there are many things you can play with when it comes to light. You can use curves. You can play with the curves to manipulate light. You can also use these slides right here. You can increase or decrease the exposure. You can increase or decrease the contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. I first play with the contrast and reduce the exposure so that I can have those details in the sky, and I reduce the highlights. It also brings back the details in the sky, and I also increase the shadows because I want to see some details in these leaves. You can also play with the blacks. If you bring down the blacks, it means you're crushing the blacks. You're making it darker, and when you raise it, you're making the blacks lighter. Like you can see here, if I increase the blacks, there's no more darker points in the picture, and if I decrease it, you can see that the picture is getting darker. So let me just leave it on 0. To move it back to 0, you have to double tap and it'll be back on the initial point. I think I'm happy with the light. Let me first bring back the exposure a bit. Let me bring it down a little bit and the contrast. Okay, I'm happy with that. So we move to the color. So in this tab, color tab, there is few things you want to know about. There is white balance, which is this one, temperature and tint. There's vibrance and saturation. So what it does is when you move it to the left, you're making it cooler. And when you move it on the other side, you're making it warm, okay? As you can see, when I move it to the left, it gets cooler. When I move it to the right, it gets warmer. So My way of editing, I like making things warmer, so I move it a little bit to the right like this, and the other ones I don't like touching them, I don't like messing with them. But just to show you, what it does is vibrance. It means vibrance adds or removes saturation to the places that don't have much saturation. Let me show you. If I increase the vibrance, you can see in the sky that it's getting more saturated. But if I decrease the vibrance, you can see that the sky is getting less saturated, is getting desaturated. But the difference between these two is that saturation adds color intensity to all the places in the photo. So if I increase it everywhere, there's an increase in color intensity. If I decrease it, then it's gonna be black and white. And vibrance does the opposite. It adds or reduces color to places where there's not enough color. So if I decrease it, you can see that the blue will go away, but there's still some green there. Like you can see there's some green. Okay, so yeah, I don't like playing with this. I come here on mix, and what mix does, it gives you the ability to play with multiple colors individually. So what I would do here is I would come to yellow and green, because for some of you who don't know, the greens in trees and grass and everything that is green has two colors. It means it has yellow and green, but mostly yellow. So which means if I decrease the yellow, you can see the leaves are desaturated. And also if I decrease the greens, then it'll be completely desaturated. So depends on what you want to edit, what you want to make the picture look like. So you will come here and play with these settings. Let me just speed through and come to my edits. Okay guys, I think I'm pretty much satisfied with this, but an issue that I have is, let me go back to the exposure and bring it back up just a bit so as to get some of those details in the tree. So another thing that I forgot to tell you about here on mix is that you can play with three things with colors. It means there's a hue bar, a saturation bar, and a luminance bar. So what hue does is it changes the hue of this color that's selected. As you can see here, the blue color, which is the sky, it was in the middle and it was a certain blue. So if I move it to one side, the hue will change to be this color on the end of that side. And if I move it on the other side, like here, it turns to that color. So this is what hue does. And right now I'm satisfied with this hue. And saturation, of course, is the color intensity of the certain color that's selected, which means if you decrease it, then the blue will go away. If you increase it, then the blue will be more intensified. Okay, so another thing, luminance, what it does, it changes the lightness or the light in that color, which means if I raise the luminance, the places where there is blue color, the light will increase. And if I decrease it, then the light will decrease. It means it will be darker. So I chose to make it a little bit dark so that I can see that blue color in the sky like this. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. And let's move on to the next tab, which is effects. So what you have in effects, you have texture, you have clarity, you have dehaze, you have vignette or vignette. That's what I heard people call it. I don't know if it's vignette or vignette, but yeah, what you can do with this, you can play with the texture. It means you increase the intensity of the texture. It gets more detailed. Like if I increase the texture all the way up, you can see that it's sharper. And if I increase the clarity, so clarity, it increases the whites and the blacks, but also it increases the sharpness of the image, which means if I increase the clarity, it will increase the whites, as you can see here. If I decrease it, the whites won't be that white, there won't be pure white, and the blacks won't be pure black. So, and if I increase it, it'll be the opposite. And as I decrease it, the image gets less sharp. And as I increase it, the image gets sharper. You understand? So let me just increase it just a little bit so as to get those details. So if you want to see the before and after when you're using the Lightroom mobile, you can just hold in the screen like this, and you can see the before image and release it to see the after image. Okay, and tap here again to bring back the bars. So moving on to dehaze. What dehaze does, it means it removes the haze in the image. This particular image doesn't have any haze in it. It has it, but it's not that visible, because if I increase the dehaze, you can see something changes, right? And if I decrease it, then it gets all foggy. So if there's fog in your image, you can increase dehaze just to remove some of the fog. And if you decrease it, then it means you're putting more haze in the picture. So I'll just leave it there for a moment. And what I want to do here is come down here to vignette or vignette, I don't remember, and I'll decrease it. And I think on vignette you can see the effect that it's having on the picture. When I decrease it, when I move it down, there is a small vignette that's coming on this image of mine. And when I increase it, that's the opposite. Then there's not black anymore, then it becomes white. It means these corners are getting filled with some white gradient, and if I move it down, then it means they're getting filled with some black gradient. So I'll just leave it here. Okay, I'm pretty much satisfied with this. And let's move on to the detail bar, to the detail tab, and you have a lot of things here. So what I mostly do to make my photos sharp, I increase the sharpening, which obviously increases the sharpness of the image. And I come down here, there's also noise reduction. By the way, these other threes, I don't use them much. Radius, detail, and masking, I don't use them that much. And I also leave noise reduction, because when you increase noise reduction, then it removes all the noise in the image, and it starts making the image smooth, like oily. So I don't like using that. I just leave it there on normal. And I come down on color noise reduction. I mostly use color noise reduction because if there's noise in the image, for those of you who know what noise is, there are those little grainy things in the image. So, and if you know those little grainy things in the image, which are called noise, they have different colors. So when you come here on color noise reduction, what you're doing is you're removing the colors from those grainy things, which are noise, of course. So if you move it all the way up, it means all the other colors in the noise get removed, okay? Which means the noise stay as black and white. It doesn't mean that there's no noise in your image. It just means that your noises don't have colors, so it stays black and white. And that's why I use it. So this is pretty much what I do here in Lightroom Mobile. And let's check out the photo. Yeah, I'm pretty much satisfied with this. Let's check again if it's cropped for Instagram. If you want to post your photo on Instagram, make sure you save the photo exported on 4:5 format, because if you let Instagram crop your images, then you lose some details. That's how people lose details in their photos. They're like, I post my picture on Instagram and somehow, I don't know what happened, it was sharp before but now it's not sharp anymore. Well, you have to crop your image, right? You have to crop it in post-production, 4:5, that's the format. I'm gonna put it like right here. You have to crop it on 4:5 format and then export that shit in 4:5 format. When you go to post on Instagram, then it won't have to crop your image, it won't have to take away the detail. The image will stay as sharp as it was when you exported it. So coming back to my mobile phone, to your mobile phone, making sure that it's cropped on 4:5 and composed the way I want it to be composed. And I come up here and on the share icon, and then I click on save to device. Unfortunately, my phone is running out of storage, but yeah, you get the idea. You have to save that and then go post that on Instagram. And thank you guys for following through. So now that you guys have seen how I edit my photos using my mobile phone, using the app Adobe Lightroom in my mobile phone, you guys can also do it. You guys can also follow through the process. Again, you can move back on the timeline of this video and watch where you didn't understand clearly. And if there's something that you didn't get well, or if there's some explanations that you want to get, you can write that in the comments below and I will reply, because I always read my comments. And make sure you guys like this video if you liked what I'm sharing, and share the video to friends and family so that they will also know how to edit their pictures, so that they will also know about my page and learn more about photography. And make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Don't forget to subscribe, because that helps me so much. And thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.